And just like that, I suppose, we're back with week number 2 of Stage 2 of the Quake Pro League, where my name is Ketchup, and I'm joined on the desk by the very wonderful Flea. We just had nosfa, a bunch of words from the South American hero himself, and we're about to see him as well.
Yeah, nosfa, I think a player who's made a lot of fans so far in the Quake Pro League, right? A very confident player who definitely, he knows how to put himself out there, right? Both at LAN as well in game, a lot of flashy plays, very aggressive player, insane combat skills. He's gonna win a lot of hearts. And of course, being the sole representative of South America in the whole Quake Pro League, I mean, that's gonna win him some love.
But I'm excited for this matchup because I feel like, even though there's no bad blood, the rivalry between psygib and nosfa is just continues.
Yeah.
Right? It started in the very, very first week of Pro League, where psygib versus nosfa was a 3-0 to nosfa. They clashed again, and the final time they clashed, right before the Stage 1 finals, it was a reverse 3-0, psygib versus nosfa, and they had that absolute down-to-the-wire nail-biter at the ESL Italy Stage 1 finals. Like, it was absolute insanity, and you just know now that when these two players go head-to-head, it's going to be good.
Yeah, and it's also just an interesting matchup, right? Because I feel like both of them, in the end, have relatively similar playstyles. They are both extremely combat-heavy, very confident players who are some of the hardest-hitting pros in the entire scene. So when they go up against each other, I mean, it's guaranteed to spark, right? Such similar playstyles, similar players in a way as well, and they've always been vying for that top spot in, the sub-top of NA. Right? Because you've always had Rafa is essentially untouchable so far, the hang right below him, but then there's some real estate that can open up, and you've got psygib, you've got nosfa, you've got Chain. Those are the ones that are really vying and looking for that position, so there's definitely a bit of a rivalry going on, as you said.
Well, let's have a little bit of a chat more about nosfa. I know he's had very up and down in stage number 1. And, talking about the playstyles, that he's not afraid to be high octane, he's not afraid to be flashy when the time calls for it, and just stuff like that, come on. I know he didn't have the most amazing start. I believe he lost to Dramis last week. Another player that's always kind of, one to think about in the Americas. But when I look at this, I just look at the way nosfa approaches each matchup, and he's very, very fearless. And I respect that a lot about his gameplay. His sort of like debut performance in Quake Pro League was when he fought off against Wenger and was able to defeat Wenger at QuakeCon. Like that was was the series that put him on the map this year for sure.
Yeah.
But psygib, I mean, he grew significantly from QuakeCon to now.
Yeah.
He had a very impressive showing at QuakeCon. He had a extremely rocky road in Stage 1 of Quake Pro League. That was such a good super shotgun shot. But then by the end and the later stages, he just looked like an entirely different player.
Yeah.
Kind of like returned to form, as it were. Like, everyone knows he's a sick player. However, he wasn't able to reflect that at the start of QPL, and now Quake Pro League has evolved, and we're now in Stage 2. He has returned to the form that we know he can reach.
Yeah, and that's why I'm very much looking forward to the matchup that we're going to see today, especially because both of these players really haven't been doing that well since the Italian tournament, right? They both lost last week against players that, in theory, should at least be ranked below them, right? They lost against, I believe, Chain and Dramis, as you said, both players that are ranked considerably below them in the world ranking, so I think both of them want to prove something coming into today.
For sure. It's not just about who can best the other, as the sort of like casual rivalry takes place. It's about trying to actually, we're fighting for leaderboard points.
Oh yeah, and of course, I mean, I believe nosfa is ranked 8, psygib is ranked 7, so they're really, really close to one another on the scoreboard, so every single point they can gather today really matters.
Let's take a look at the picks and bans. We can see what to expect as we're about to load in. Awoken starting off first, the two poster boys of their respective games, Ranger and the Doomslayer. Kicking things off, Blood Covenant, nosfa's pick was the second one, Galena versus Visor, and then finishing things off with the BJ's pick coming out from nosfa versus the Strog.
Yeah. With
psygib at the very end. So I'm looking at these maps, I'm excited. I feel like when we see these guys play, these are often the maps that we see. It's just they seem to favour similar maps, and when they go head to head, you kind of know what you're going to see before it's even been picked.
Yeah, I think that Blood Covenant is actually going to be relatively slow. Usually you see some pretty fast champions being used on there. At least you've got like Nyx with the wall jump, or you've got a Doomslayer or a Slash or something like that. But right now you've got a Galena going up against a Visor. Neither really capable of doing that bridge to rail jump easily or getting around the map as fast as many of the others. So you might be seeing a relatively slow Blood Covenant. I also wish we would have seen Keel being played, because that is like one of the champions that I always associate with psygib. The pineapples, the grenades. I feel like he's a player that I've seen do such incredible things in previous tournaments, just landing that ultimate nade spam with the Keel, so I always enjoy watching him play it.
I almost feel like the way things went at LAN, it's just a different style. I think we're going to have a higher chance of seeing Keel in the offline events purely because of the best of 5 map situation,
right,
where there's more maps to go through, so more champions get eliminated and more champions get both picked and banned away. And we would always see Keel picked at like the later stage of the selection because he's kind of like seen to be the best of what's left for a lot of players.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's kind of better or worse. We saw some players in Italy kind of have that removed from them, but some players really made it work. We're going into nosfa, psygib, the 2 players that just keep clashing back and forth, and I'm excited to see how the story progresses. We're going to be watching psygib first of all with that Doomslayer.
Yep, both players actually with quite a bit of mobility. Ranger, of course, has that orb at his disposal, and psygib has got the double jump to get to the map, around the map quickly, rather. A lot of damage dealt within the first 20 seconds. No frags will follow, but still both players looking worse for wear. psygib dancing just out of reach of that Tribolt will evade all damage coming his way and collect the Mega as well.
Slash has been a pretty popular champion ban today.
Oh!
Oh my god! I was just about to just mention that during anything that could resemble downtime, and that happened.
I really wasn't expecting that shot to result in a ring out. I thought it was too early in the jump cycle, but nope, must have been a perfect angle to send his opponent flying clean into the murky waters of Awoken. Very little delay between the 2 major items though, and this time around we can definitely tell nosfa doesn't want to go up that same bounce pad again. Learned his lesson.
By all accounts, that was a safety berserk during the missed rail and failing to hit some shots. That damage isn't going to be severe enough to kill just yet. He's looking for the rail. He's half there. Risky stuff of nosfa to retreat through that angle. But psygib's going to finish what he started there. We saw the safety berserk just to get the speed burst during the downtime. nosfa, unfortunate spawn, getting kind of caught with his pants down in effect and immediately deleted there.
Yeah.
Good spawn there from psygib. He can kind of keep nosfa in a bit of an awkward position. Yes, Heavy's been taken, but the question is, he's got a rail, but what else have you got? Anything to fight? Not necessarily sure. Has to put a lot of faith in landing these rails because it's going to be a free frag otherwise. It's why psygib is sticking around, because nosfa has nothing to swap to, and there was no orb either. He had nothing to fear.
Yeah, the only thing he had to his name was of course that heavy armor, but you can't do any damage with that, so no matter how stacked you are, when you can't put out any of your own, well, you're just gonna go down at one point or another. And right now, once again, nosfa manages to steal away the heavy armor. But psygib, despite running out of LG ammo mid-fight, will be able to clean it up. And 5 frags in just 2 minutes. This is really brutal.
Yeah, it's savage so far, Fleet. 2.5 minutes, and it's a 5-0 for psygib so far. nosfa just unable to get a single foot in the door, not a shred of momentum. Things might change now, but all he's got is a rocket, and psygib was ready for him to go in, and a trade! The second you feel like you have a moment to come back, the trade occurs and you know better off than when you started. However, what a spawn for nosfa. Definitely got the better end of the stick with that one, able to pick up all the weapons that were dropped from the previous fight, and a heavy, and he was able to make the Mega not matter at all. This is an opportunity to come back.
Yeah, almost falling down right there, but psygib somehow managing to turn it back around and instantly shutting nosfa's comeback down as quickly as it appeared. The rockets have to be phenomenal right now. Both players pretty low heavy will be going to nosfa, and psygib has the better positioning for Mega, and indeed nosfa, even though he had picked up the heavy, too aggressive and just eats the rockets.
That's a substantial lead for psygib so far. 8 frags to 2, and this map has barely started. We've only just hit 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm going to be very interesting to see the damage counts at the end, because I feel like both players have just been doing an obscene amount of damage to each other. Heavy taken by nosfa, but he's got next to no health to his name, and psygib is just going to back off, prioritize the items over the frags, because of course at this point he has a 6 frag lead and we're not even halfway into the map. So a very clever decision from him not to push the fight.
Yeah, now it's just going to be about maintaining that presence. nosfa, as long as psygib's able to hit those rails that he's been hitting all the time, rockets like that just... You put in so much effort to get your stack back up, and one well-placed shot takes out all of it. He's going to get the heavy, but at what cost? Is it going to give up the frag? He's going to get some more rocket damage. Not much just yet. Fortunately, the rail's going to miss. psygib not punished too heavily, though.
psygib knows that this is a good opportunity for him to make something happen, because nosfa had to use the orb to get away. He used the orb through the little hole in the wall to get onto heavy and make a run for it, but right now he doesn't really have that additional tool of doing damage or even escaping out of tricky situations. So psygib looking to do some more damage, try to maybe get another frag on the board, but it looks like nosfa has enough of a read on his opponent to evade him.
psygib gets clipped by a rail. Fortunately, one of the first times actually that nosfa was able to get something unreturned. He's going to pop in the orb, likely going to be a frag, thankfully. psygib's able to get a bonus rail before he gets taken down, so nosfa's not going to be fat stacked just yet. But again, we just have to think about how long it takes for him to score these frags.
Yeah.
And psygib, spawned significantly far away. He's going to be in a good position to maybe try and get this heavy. That missed rail might make it a bit easier and less scary for psygib to go and take that heavy if that's what he's after. And look at that, a straight, just identical trade of those items.
Yeah, and that's always bad for nosfa, because he wants to make a comeback happen by starting a steamroll over his opponent and just start daisy chaining those frags together. But unfortunately for him, the major item spawned at around the exact same time, so he could only secure himself one, and ouch! psygib actually using the berserk immediately after getting that frag just to immediately hit that top speed that Doom is capable of, just to secure himself some more resources. And nosfa giving up another frag. That was kind of uncalled for. It felt like
he's reached a
going
point
to be
where
very difficult.
He's given a point where he's given up so many frags now that does he become more predictable and try and essentially strong harm his way back into this match purely because he hasn't got much time left to go?
Oh.
Or, yeah.
What a beauty.
If he wants to just sit and play his cards right and look for the opportune moment and then rely on daisy chaining those frags together, he hasn't really got a lot of time left purely because of how much he's down. That rail angle was absolutely disgusting.
psygib is making the double jump work so nicely and for so much more than just getting out of bad situations or having just general mobility, but he's using it to create brand new angles with a railgun. And right now, nosfa too aggressive, trying to chase him down with next to nothing to his name other than the lightning gun. And of course, psygib has got an arsenal of weapons to his disposal, and he will just make the rocket work.
I feel like this map is about to be a bit of a write-off, to be honest with you. He's just given up so many frags, and now... What? I just
psygib was 13 points of health. nosfa was in the same room, and nosfa just orbed away without even knowing that psygib was there. There we go, finally! Thank you, nosfa. We've seen that jump fail twice today, so I'm very happy to see someone pull it off.
At least there's that. He's 4-13 down, but he hit that tricky jump.
He's won my heart, at least.
He's the one. Give the map to him.
Style points, yeah.
The problem he's facing now is, there's 2.5 minutes, and he's significantly far down. Is there even anything he can do here? Because he's getting peppered so constantly here from psygib, who's just... he said these are two players that are extremely combat heavy. Well, the proof's in the pudding. You're looking at it.
And right now, a little over 2 minutes on the clock, but nosfa with the miracle orb, finding a whole lot of damage out of nowhere, but he needs 9 more frags just to tie it up, and the rockets coming from below. So much damage, so much pain, and psygib, of course, well aware of how low his opponent is, and will finish him off with the machine gun.
There's a rocket launcher. Not much else might spawn near LG, so there's a potential that maybe he's got that as well, but there's no rail. And the rail's going to be the start of deletion if you're that far away. There's a bit of a victory lap at this point, to be honest. I just think that psygib, he's done so much work early on. Looking to get another frag here versus nosfa. Both players extremely weak. psygib is in the better position. nosfa tries to undo the damage of the Mega. Unfortunately, misses the shot outright. Oh, disgusting rail again. psygib looking for a second. Can he get a third? The flick! nosfa destroyed! What was already a disastrous map has just made psygib look even better.
psygib is determined to show nosfa that after winning in Italy, that it wasn't just a fluke. He's determined to show him that, you know what, I beat you back then, and I am going to do it once again, and I'm going to do it with style. Landing some excellent rails right there, and at this point, 11 frags, 50 seconds.
It's
mathematical impossibility, and that will indeed be psygib taking away map 1.
In dominant fashion. I think sometimes when a map goes this badly for you, you just have no choice but to shrug it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing else you... Okay. That's better than nothing. 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
This is just going to be another day in the office at this stage. This one's done. We have to think about what we're doing next. Some rockets. Can't quite finish it. Doesn't matter. Nothing at this point will make a difference. Yep. Besides the frags. But ultimately, well done to psygib for giving us one of the most dominant matches we've ever seen in Quake Pro League.
Yeah.
Well played.
Absolutely, and at this point, it's really on nosfa to already start looking at the maps to come. He can't get too caught up in his own head right now, but he's just got to look ahead, realize, think a little bit, what have I done wrong, what did I do right, and what can I do better moving into map 2?
Well, it's immediately different, thanks to the fact that Blood Covenant's going to be up next anyway. Yep. That will just, if you compare Blood Covenant and Awoken, you're guaranteed a change of pace. The two maps they straight up don't get played the same way at all. So it wasn't nosfa's game. There's no two ways about it. At the same time, psygib was just on that extra level the entire time. Was hitting these ridiculously strong rails. His accuracy was through the roof. His general presence, sitting around the Mega. The Mega was kind of where he set up shop for a lot of it. And then very early on, it's one of the best maps that you can hope for as a duelist. You almost like guarantee the win for yourself so early on with such a lead that even before we're halfway through, it's looking unlikely that your opponent even has a chance to come back.
I mean, look at that. That's 5 frags in 2 minutes. That's an insane start, and just nosfa, he was unable to rival psygib's damage output, and psygib just kept a super solid control of the map. And look at those mid-air rockets even. We didn't see that from his perspective. Excellent plays all around. What do you think that nosfa should change going into the next map?
It's hard to say, really, because it just felt like psygib had that immediate lead. It was kind of almost the beginning of the end after that immediate ring-out rail that we saw in the very, very first frag. It's one of those maps that you kind of just need to forget about, really, but you've got a lot of information from that first. But look at the damage difference. Oh my days.
Like I said, nosfa just wasn't able to keep up with what psygib was putting down. 2,700 damage versus just 1.5k. That's a huge lead from psygib, and if you look at the items picks-ups, still, I would say a slight lead when it comes to the major items for nosfa, but ultimately that just really didn't matter when you're faced with that kind of overwhelming firepower.
What you are going to have from that map is information. There's no way that a player in a competitive setting can play absolutely 100% perfect all of the time.
Yep.
However, a player's going to have a damn good day, and it looks like so far, by just the general shape that psygib is in, it looks like he's having a fantastic day. So you're going into the future maps understanding, right, I'm not catching this guy on a day where maybe he's going to hit 75% of his shots that he normally would. This is one of those days where psygib is clearly on fire.
Yeah.
We know that now. And as we go into future maps, which are very, very rail heavy, we're going into Blood Covenant, and those rails that psygib was just landing, like off the chain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're going into future maps with at least an understanding of how good psygib is playing today. So you have to respect certain things more than you otherwise would.
On the other hand, though, Awoken is a very aggressive map, right? It can usually go super fast-paced as opposed to Blood Covenant, which tends to be a whole lot slower. So maybe that deciding factor will be what makes the difference for nosfa. Maybe he will be able to just calm himself down, play a lot more of a defensive game, and maybe this map just favors his style of landing those rails more, rather than just that constant aggression, constantly having to be on your toes and just shooting shots like every few seconds. Blood Covenant is an entirely different place.
For sure. And there's no getting around the fact that psygib was straight up forcing nosfa into situations that he probably doesn't want to be in. Like, he was just bullying nosfa that entire map, and that naturally can't work as well as we go into Blood Covenant. A different set of matchups. You know, you called it probably a slow matchup, as it's going to be Visor versus Galena. Not a lot of mobility in these two champions. It's a lot more utility straight up in the form of totems and that piercing sight, but we'll see if psygib's going to just maintain his reign of terror, or whether this change of pace is what nosfa needs to get back on the set.
So far, not that much damage done in the first 30 seconds. Heavy firmly planted behind psygib. That's an excellent rail, and that will knock nosfa straight down. He's got some totems, and that is going to be imperative for psygib this matchup. He has to take care of those totems. We've seen time and time again how it can go completely out of your control once you let Galena set up and stack up with that constant overstack on the health. So psygib, he's got to be aware of that.
One of those totems is down. Probably not for the best of situations, though. psygib steps on it, but he has a really decent stack to work with.
Yeah.
Controlling rail angle. And, you know, he's very, very carefully positioning himself here. I think he wants it, because there's such an even split in Heavy and Mega, he kind of wants both information pieces here.
Yeah.
And he knows that Mega's been taken, so it's going to be safe for him to try and move towards Heavy. See if he can get in and out without having to take any damage just yet. Piercing sight gets popped. He knows now he's got a lot of room to work with. Can he hit a decent rail?
Oh, so close. And also, psygib actually put a fair bit of a delay on that heavy pickup. So there's around 8 seconds between the two items right now. So psygib is actually maneuvering himself perfectly right now. He can make a move onto Mega any second right now. There we go, moving on to the health. And then instantly just loop back around and still be competitive to do damage on heavy and perhaps even secure it as well.
As the part of the map that nosfa's been able to set up shop, though, psygib hasn't really been able to move towards bridge at all, which means that even if nosfa didn't get the Mega, it doesn't really matter because he can give himself a Mega whenever he wants if he's got 3 totems. psygib jumps down and denies the light armor, knowing he's a lot of damage to nosfa and there's no avenue for you to stack back up. psygib, he's going to play the game of resources so far, I think, and he knows the totems are in play. Maybe this is an opportunity to take down some of them. Remains to be seen. As you can see, just look at that stack just immediately come back the second gets tagged by a rail. And not ready for that angle.
And nosfa has 2 more totems in that vicinity right there. He can just go right up the stairs and stack himself up even more if he were to take a rail or a bad rockets, because that's how the totems work. Just because you heal up on one of them doesn't mean that the others are suddenly out of business. You can walk through all of them and just get a triple health boost in the end. And that's something that nosfa's counting on. And psygib so far really hasn't done anything to even get into the area that the totems are in just to try and take him down. But he should hopefully have a pretty decent idea of where they're at. But here we go. This might be the first frag coming up. Click, says the rocket launcher, and psygib decides to just get out of there. Nope, they're gonna run into each other again.
Oh no, nosfa! He had the right option to jump down and try and surprise, but what he didn't factor in was just how much nail gun damage was coming his way. He really went for the big bold play. Head him off. We got totem set up. We can heal back up, and it just didn't work. Mega gets taken. But nosfa has very little to survive. He knows he's not going to have a rail because he didn't spawn near it. Of course he can't have it.
Yep. I felt that one for nosfa because that should have been his frag.
That's the kind of frag that makes you sit back in your chair and reel your eyes back like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think either player expected the other one to be there. They were just like out of nowhere, just running into each other and then just making do with whatever they had in their hands at the time. And that ended up favoring psygib, who now manages to pick up a Mega health as well, looking very healthy himself. Now nosfa, of course, is going to be better off, like, favoring and prioritizing the heavy, right? Because he's got his own Mega in his pocket. He's got that own totem that he can just throw out whenever he wants, and bam, there you go, you've got a Mega. So no need for him to go after the Mega itself when he can just consistently sit on heavy. But of course, he is 1 frag down, so he's still got a lot of work cut out for him.
Well, that says to me exactly why psygib is opting to prioritize rail angle. You know, he's well aware that, yes, nosfa is going to sit on just heavy because he's setting up totems. So psygib is trying to hold rail bridge quite regularly, because he's looking for those heavy angles. You know, he's looking to make sure, also at the same time, that he just has rails to work with. Because now he's out, he can no longer play that kind of like ranged chip him down game. He needs to get some rails to make that happen.
It's very interesting how divided the map has been, though. It's really been compartmentalized into essentially the bridge and the rockets, which are nosfa's territory, and then on the other hand, you've got psygib who sets over towards rail, LG, and mega. But psygib hasn't been on bridge or rockets in half a map. It's been almost 5 minutes since he's last been around, and he's just been getting his rocket ammo from elsewhere, from the small ammo boxes down below.
nosfa making a big play, going towards mega, trying to potentially starve psygib of the one thing he is able to sit there and take. He's going to come down to some pretty crucial bits of damage coming out right now. Wonderful rocket, nosfa maybe actually regretting pressing a little bit, going into the wrong side of town. He had a lot of stuff established, but even if you're sitting on those bridges and you have everything set up, this is the game changer. He's just deleted the entire setup that nosfa had, and he has a 2-frag lead. So now nosfa has to do all of that work again, but all of that work has simply made the map take longer to get frags. It hasn't actually scored him any frags.
Yeah, that was a really impressive play from psygib. He just landed such a huge rocket that at that point nosfa really should have just turned around and leave it at that. But he stuck around in the area. psygib turned back around and finished him off. And this is going to be difficult. Excellent little speed boost with the nail gun. That's something you don't see all that often, at least not horizontally. Vertically, you see the jumps occasionally. But that's pretty nice to look at. Some defrag coming out right here.
I've always said that psygib is mechanically gifted.
Yeah.
And that it was so surprising to see him struggle in the early stages of Quake Pro League Stage 1. Because it's not like him to struggle the way he did. And this kind of psygib that we're looking at now, this is the psygib that we're the most familiar with. But he's getting heavy, finally. One of the first times I've actually seen him been able to pick that up. And he just has all the time to work with. While nosfa's running around and setting up these totems and stuff, it's just wasting time. And that's what psygib wants.
Yeah.
He's not going to be interested taking fights. He can hit rail angles when he can, yeah, sure, but he's happy with things the way they are right now. And that piercing sight, does he pop it immediately for information? He does. Looking for some of those free rails, I think.
And nosfa right now, he knows that he's behind. He knows he's 2 frags out of the lead, sure. But he also knows that there's still 3 minutes left and that he can just start building his totems first before trying to make something big happen. What is happening? psygib is landing 2, maybe 3 heavy machine gun bullets in that entire engagement. Somehow, just none of his shots were connecting, and it does allow nosfa to put himself on the board at long last. He needs some more rocket ammo, or railgun ammo rather. There we go. 3 totems are up. nosfa, or psygib rather, should know exactly where they're at.
No rails though.
No rail.
That's the heartbreaker for him. That the second he gets psygib within railable life, he hasn't really got the tool he needs to deliver that final blow. He has to sort of detour now and take the rail himself. Really stacked. This should be a dead psygib if nosfa plays his cards right. Super shotgun. Perfect choice.
Yep, 1 second before the mega spawn, and click again! nosfa twice in a row out of ammo for his weapon of choice. Few seconds left till Heavy is going to spawn. This is a bad situation to be in for nosfa. Or for psygib rather, I meant.
Yeah,
keep confusing them because they're just...
psygib the whole map.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep track of them sometimes, but excellent plays right there, and nosfa turning it back around. It looked like a very difficult position, but he's making it work. 4-2. Is this slipping out of control for psygib?
Potentially, and the totems are constantly putting nosfa in a position where he's happy to take a fight. It's surprising to see that rail miss. That one too!
That first rail was a beauty though. He didn't even move his crosshair a millimeter. He just waited for his opponent to walk right into it. And there we go. Another shoddy kill. Misses the rail of the spawn though, but does it even matter? 3 frags, a little over a minute, definitely possible. But obviously not easy.
I mean, the exception to what we've just seen now was that consistently nosfa was, at the very least, able to, even if one of the totems was destroyed, it was 1 of 3.
Yeah.
And the other 2 were always up, which kind of in turn means if you just place your 3rd totem down again, you're going to get the same benefits of having all 3 of them up on the map. And this constant use of the totems and the setup, the perfect dance that he's able to play, keeping them all on track. It's just given nosfa such an edge every single fight. Again, look, one of the totems has gone down, but you need to take down 2 for it to really matter. Otherwise, you're kind of no better off than when you started. psygib hits a rail, but it's nowhere near enough. Why? Because Galena's fat stacked all the time.
Yeah, she's got a mega in her pocket, and you can never, ever underestimate that. nosfa also playing quite a brilliant game with the tribal, doing a whole lot of damage with it and keeping his opponent at bay very successfully. And right now psygib is just pushing in full desperation mode. I think it's already too late, but he still wants to put himself on the board a little further. With 10 seconds to go, that will be nosfa tying things right back up.
Do we expect anything less from these two, though? That's what I ask. They're such a constant back and forth pair of players that now it's going to be one map apiece. And the second Galena had that one moment to just establish that momentum.
Yeah.
That's it. He took an inch and ran with a mile.
I think that, unfortunately for psygib, he didn't heed our warnings from the very start. He didn't focus on the totems enough in the end.
I think we say that almost every week, don't we?
We do. It comes up all the time. Once the Galena
like
is
she's
in
a
play.
really popular champion.
Yeah, but still, half the map, the totems were sitting just around the corner towards rockets, right, on the bridge. And in the rest of the map, they were sitting down in a little corner, you know, the little twisty part of the stairs down below bridge. And psygib just almost never went there. He passed by the first set of totems once, took them out, and then just never even looked for the other ones. And that just ended up costing him big time in the end.
I mean, when you play as well as nosfa was able to keep that constant rotation, because he was off to a fantastic start. You just look at how some of these frags went. Looked almost like it was going to be an easy 2-0 at the start of things. But the moment nosfa... And this is where champions matter so much, and they change matchups so significantly. That first frag, no one was ready for that.
Yeah.
No one was ready for the sheer amount of damage that would just absolutely delete the way nosfa went down. But it just came down to the rotation.
I think that nosfa rocket was just like, oh yeah, I should probably put a rocket there just in case he wants to show up. But at that point, it was already too late, and he placed the rocket behind his opponent. And then in the downtime, while waiting to reload, the nail gun came out.
These frags, just look at consistently how many times the totems were available. You know, they were kind of ready to drop down, top himself back up, while psygib is getting absolutely melted down. And just consistently, look, two totems. It's two totems or it's 3 totems.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. The second she has that rotation, you just have to approach her in such a different light. Purely because, look, you're so used to having a fight, and even if it doesn't go in your favor, you're doing the maths, and you know, well, they're going to be probably weak, so maybe I can refrag, maybe I can get a fight a few seconds later. She just takes that entire mechanic and just flips on its head, because she'll just drop a totem down, and then that's it, instantly. She just has a massive stack ready to go again, and it undoes all the work that you did. You have to put so much confidence in relying on winning those fights, and even then, psygib, it was a very slow game for a lot of it. It was a rail fight. That's why damage was kind of the way it was. The rails played a huge part at the start, and then once nosfa got the rotation of totems, he was just on the hunt. Man was on the warpath the whole time at the end.
Yeah, he didn't even need most of the major items that he got, I feel like. He just had so much healing available to him, and psygib unable to take down the totems fast enough. And then in the end, nosfa just was really hitting a lot more shots than he did in the first map. And you can clearly see it in the damage, right? 600 more points of damage going nosfa's way this time around. That's quite a lot on a map that's as slow placed as this one.
Absolutely. The thing you coined right before we went into Blood Covenant was nosfa got horrendously overwhelmed by psygib. And the first map, and then if we go into Blood Covenant, all we can really hope is that he can slow things down. Maybe he can play things at a different pace. Because if we were going for fast and furious and speed was the key, psygib had that in droves.
Yeah.
And the Galena kind of fit that style perfectly at the same time. And psygib, you know, the one time he put a foot out of line, lost a frag, and then Galena just has this entire setup established.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the totems, once again, they were so important, and I really feel like this map, it favored or it helped nosfa out a lot more. He was able to play his own game. Like you said, Awoken, just 2 minutes in, he was 5 frags down. It was just frag after frag after frag, but this time around, he played a very slow game, just didn't engage all that much up until he had his totems, his safety area basically set up, and from that point out, he started getting the frags, and then he starts going on the hunt.
So with two players that are very similar on the leaderboards, again, going into the 1-1, this final map, it matters a great deal.
Yeah.
We're nice and early on in stage number 2, so there's plenty of weeks left and opportunities to get points. But because we are round robin now, the chance of players, you know, facing each other again, I mean, it's just nowhere near as much of a chance, is there? There's just the nature of the whole thing. So if these players, they would play multiple times in stage 1, and this, for all we know, will be their only chance to go head-to-head in stage 2 before the land situation. So This is a very important final map, as we're going to be observing psygib so far with that strong. We've seen some great stuff from his crouch slide. And both of these players known for great movement champions.
Oh, wow.
Super shotgun and then some. Not even rocket damage to return the favor. That was a disastrous way to lose the first frag if you're nosfa, but psygib, he's going to be feeling good about that one. He's going to punish the rail. Doesn't even care that he got hit by that first one because, I mean, his very, very surgical times to strafe left or right. He has the rail in mind. He knows when nosfa's going to pull the trigger. Oh, man. Oh, my.
nosfa has got to be careful that the same thing that happened in map 1 does not happen again. He cannot let himself be overwhelmed and then start feeding 5 frags in the first few minutes, because that's so difficult to come back from. He's got to slow it down and just try and engage these fights on his own terms. And also, that very first frag, that was just like pure psygib to me. You know, just going in with nothing but the shotgun. He's just like, hey, you know what? Here we go. Point blank, and then 2 massive shots to follow it up, and you're done, no matter what you have. Perfect play. And here we go, nosfa dropping perhaps a bit too aggressively, trying to get himself on the heavy. And psygib's ready for that.
It almost looks like he was like, well, I've dedicated now. And he was dedicated to that play of jumping down towards heavy. He has the timing of heavy in his head, so he's like, if I stick around too long, he's just going to jump down and take heavy. I have to try and force my way down. But this approach hasn't quite worked the way he's clearly hoping it will. psygib is just that next step ahead. He's ready for it every time, and nosfa, he's just falling into psygib's hands. I'm very fearful that we're going to see history repeat itself.
Yeah.
A lot of these rails aren't hitting their mark either, and that's just going to add up to the problems at this rate. Full speed ahead into the mega. Dual wield was used. It did absolutely nothing. Not a single rocket connected.
I feel like for this to go nosfa's way, we either have to see him switch to a more passive playstyle right now, or just to completely get a good fight, overwhelm his opponent, and get himself into control. That's what we need to see from him. And I'm afraid that that might not happen after those rockets! Oh, a ridiculous 100 damage rocket direct to the face! And that's 5-0 again in just over 2 minutes. This is a literal repeat of map 1.
Bad to worse is that nosfa died with the LG in hand, something that psygib had just run out of ammo for. So he doesn't even have to detour towards the LG. He can just go on his daily business and collect lightning gun ammo at the same time. There's that rail, hits 2, looking for a third. He's going to give us a sick flick. Nope, we're going to swap to a rocket, and we're going to score a trade. You think you have a chance to come back, and then you eat a rocket in the face. nosfa does get the favourable spawn weapon-wise, so he does have a lot of ammo.
Heavy would have gone, or will have been going to psygib though. Mega to nosfa. Immediately another confrontation. Is he just going to push in? He did a lot of damage with the first rocket, but it wasn't enough to overcome the super shotgun at that close of a range.
It's just, you never get quite used to seeing a super shotgun in a fight like that, do you? You know it's got the damage, you know he spawned near it, so he's going to have it. But you're so used to seeing the unholy trinity that a super shotgun comes out of nowhere and it's like, oh damn, wait, I forgot how much damage that did.
Seeing our first peeker of the match. Not that much damage, but still a respectable amount. That was a lot of LG. psygib a little bit too aggressive, just dropping down, hoping he could make it on there first. But nosfa was ready.
Has to show a lot of respect though, because it's likely he might have had, may have been only the rail, but if he's hitting the rail shots, then you have to be very, very careful. It goes to show that nosfa, he's trying to be aggressive, but he's still having to establish a lot of respect. He can't afford to just lose frags. We have plenty of time left of the map, but he's 5 frags down at the stage. Oh, saves his own skin with a delicious rail. And this is his ticket. This is the chance to come back.
And those kinds of plays are what reminds me of a previous player who doesn't really play at the highest level anymore, but Evil, back from the olden days. Amazing player with incredible combat skills who would make those things happen too, right? There's a few basic ground rules when it comes to Quake, like you don't go up a bounce pad when your opponent's waiting with a lightning gun. And then Evil, back in the day, he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna make my own rules, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna out-LG my opponent. And look at what we're seeing right here. nosfa psygib players with incredible combat skills doing more or less the exact same thing. So I'm very happy to see both of them live up to that stereotype of them having insane combat skills.
Messes up the status quo, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You think you've got the rules and then someone turns up and breaks them. But there's now that 5-minute warning is applied. It's only 4-7 for nosfa, He's doing a lot of damage. Thankfully, near rail, there's a bunch of stuff to retreat to. Should be able to get this mega. Beats him to the punch. Psygib. I really feel like even though you've got a crouch slide, you should still understand that he can get there in time.
Yeah.
I really think Psygib underestimated nosfa's movement speed there and just thought maybe I can jump in and take it.
And around half of nosfa's frags have been in that exact spot. psygib thinking he can make it onto Mega first, and then just getting robbed out of the sky instantly.
It feels uncharacteristic though of psygib, because he's very calculated normally. Absolutely very calculated. But quite a few of these frags are going down to him essentially miscalculating nosfa's speed.
Yeah. Heavy will be the next major item coming up, around 10 seconds left. Both players have their ability. nosfa just standing still for a moment, a little bit of a strange play right there, but he will find his opponent off the bat. Out comes the dual rockets.
Just used to push him away to save on damage. And the stack that he didn't lose because psygib was too afraid to push on the double rocket.
Yeah.
Allowed him to push in and finish the job. That dual wield was not to get a frag now, but to get a frag later.
Yeah, and that was such an excellent play pushing in that situation, because he knew he had the high ground. His opponent really didn't have all the tools he wanted, and so you can just LG downwards while your opponent is trying to rocket upwards, and that's a fight you'll win 9 out of 10 times, but damn, the peeker actually blocked him from going through the doorway, and that's going to be the first frag psygib's gonna see in some time.
Wow!
Excellent combo.
Scary situation.
Yeah.
It just looked like nosfa had all of the momentum, but he gets beat. The dual gauntlet isn't going to quite do its job there, nosfa.
I would have loved to see that work.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been amazing.
I don't think we've ever seen a dual gauntlet work in competitive Quake in, like the 2.5 years this game has been played competitively. You always see it, but you always hope in the back of your mind, but it never comes through psygib. Oh no, he's starting to land all the shots again. Looks like that shift of momentum was incredibly fast. To the point where nosfa looked like he was mounting an incredible comeback, but he's now once more 4 frags behind, and psygib sitting on all the stack. Even after that rail, he's still healthier than nosfa. He collects one of the lights. But what can he do with it? psygib keeping him pushed away. Lots of damage from those nails.
They're a respectable amount, but nosfa just jumps straight into that LG. psygib does manage to get out of the room, but not before doing a whole lot of damage to his opponent. nosfa, he's going to be reeling from that one. Has got to go back and stack right back up, but unfortunately, that's going to cost a lot of time, and time is one of the few things he doesn't have right now.
We've seen nosfa rack up frags incredibly fast on this map, but the change of pace will begin. We're now in a position where psygib can look at the lead he's sitting on, look at the fact that he's constantly taking these major items and taking them away from nosfa. Even now, this should be in and out. Dual wield gets used, but it's too late. nosfa just, he's late for work.
Yeah. Problem for him right now is that he's just not really able to secure many of the items, and psygib just keeps on doing the damage. Can he find the frag like that? No, nosfa almost dead. He's gonna throw out the smiley face real quick. That's a risky move of 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock.
It just looked like a perfect read to me. You get so used to playing against strong players. When they have a certain level of verticality against you, they clearly feel like it's almost a free use of Pika. The chance of them doing that at the right place at the right time is very low, unless you are able to make a hard read. And in that instance, nosfa he makes the right call. He understands that, hey look, there's a Strog up top, good chance he's going to pop Pika because I'm really far away, and he probably feels safe. If he didn't do anything, he probably would have felt really stupid, but hey, make a big read and it either works or it doesn't. Dual wield, melts it again, 1 minute to get 2 frags. This is absolutely possible.
Especially when you fight your opponent off the spawn like that. He cannot let him get away right now. This should be... Oh no!
He got away!
The shotgun probably would have gotten him the frag right there, but unfortunately for nosfa, the crouch slide just proves a little too fast. Come on, he's given another opportunity. This has got to be it. Yeah.
Not even going to risk the ring out. We need a frag now. Yeah. He needs to find the spawn.
25 seconds.
He sees him. He can hear him. Looking for the rail, hits it. Now what's the play? Beautiful. He's going to go up top, head him off. Here comes psygib. Struggled to see where he was. The dual super shotgun finishes him off. It's now 10-10 with 10 seconds to spare. We are very likely to go into a sudden death. What a comeback from nosfa, hitting the shots he desperately needed to. That almost went completely pear-shaped. And now sudden death. It's going to begin, Flea. Let's
That
go.
stuff just puts a smile on my face. You love to see it. Just 10 seconds left, and he's just chasing his opponent down, getting 3 frags in like the final minute and a half. Beautiful plays from nosfa, but he's got to be careful right now.
Watch out!
Yeah, those rails, they can take your head clean off, and whoever dies first right now will surrender the map. He's right behind you! nosfa!
Right at the last second, Flea.
Oh,
he works so hard to get as far as he does, and at the last minute, he just doesn't. Nah, he's not behind me. He's not running that way. There's no way.
All the effort, and then you're caught looking the wrong way as your opponent rounds the corner.
What a horrible way to lose after all that.
Actually, it is.
I want chat right now. Press F in the chat. It has to be done. Press F for the boy.
I feel bad for him because that was such a good comeback, and then just like you said, he's like, no, he's not gonna push. He's not gonna push. I'm gonna set up here over at Mega.
Push.
And then out of nowhere, psygib is just like, hi, rounds the corner.
I almost half believe that right at the last second, even psygib probably didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah,
because he's worked so hard to reach that point, to make the comeback, to make it 10-10.
Yeah,
that was some excellent Quake right there. And then when he makes the comeback, one of the simple things of just checking your bases.
Yeah.
psygib runs around the corner. I'm sure the moment he saw him with his back turned, psygib in the back of his mind must have been like, really? Like, you're right there? You haven't turned round?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a freebie at the end. nosfa did put up a pretty good fight, though. He did quite a bit of LG damage, but unfortunately, he can't recover from taking that amount of damage when your back is turned on your opponent. These rockets were amazing.
Oh, both of these players had some wonderful fights throughout the course of it. The fact that nosfa was able to bring it back the way he did, he's probably not going to be feeling too great that ultimately, look, he lost. It's a 2-1. And you want points. You need points at this stage. And nosfa worked so hard. He made some excellent plays, these beautiful reads. Like, he took these fights perfectly at the very end. It's just almost anticlimactic and disappointing that at the very last second, that split second he forgot to, he just mustn't have considered it. He mustn't have done. It's just a real shame to see it go that way. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
psygib is going to take the win. These two guys more than delivered, as they always do, and they remain to be just dead even. Right? I feel like these two players are so evenly matched.
Although, score-wise, a little bit of a rift has been appearing, right? Because back at QuakeCon, psygib won. Back at Italy, psygib won again. Today, he was winning a third time. And then there was that one time in Season 1 where nosfa won once, but so far it's 3-1 in their recent matchup history. And here we go, nosfa.
That was almost the end.
Yeah,
almost.
That really could have been it.
But he catches him with the trap. Beautiful swap to the rail. And this shot too, like every shot that he landed at this last minute, he had to hit. There was no compromise, and he works this hard and creates it. Like, watching it from his perspective, he's making loads of noise. That's why I was so surprised. I'm always wondering like if nosfa was having audio issues or something, because while psygib's running around that corner, he's firing rockets. He's making tons of noise.
Yeah. He even was spamming nails at the start, like the LG. But
maybe he thought it was a fake out. Maybe it was it was too Galaxy Brain that he thought nosfa was trying to make noise. I don't know.
Yeah, nosfa did get more of the major items with a slight lead when it comes to the megas. And then also with the small armors, but still
Even
it
damage.
wasn't enough. Yeah, you can always see when it comes to Quake, right? Damage alone definitely isn't enough. It matters how you do it, where you do it, at what point you do it, and especially how you can capitalize off the frags that you get and stack up all the damage that you took.
I think Dewey proved that earlier today, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he landed the damage, it mattered. There was no fluff in between.
Also, 49% LG coming out of psygib. That is pretty nuts.
Savage.
Absolutely.
I feel exhausted after watching that, and we were just watching it. I don't know about you guys. I can imagine you guys in chat might have been pretty evenly split. Remember those folks at home, actually. Make sure you're following the Quake Twitter accounts and all the social media accounts. Use the hashtag Quake Pro League. Let us know what you think of the stream. Let us know what players you want to push through.
Oh, yeah.
We have got more matches to go, so make sure you're sharing it out. If anyone likes watching Quake at home and they're not watching it, make sure they're watching it, because this is some world-class Quake entertainment. I believe we're going into our next set of matches.
Yep.
While we do that, we have another player interview set aside, but this time it's going to be toxic.